Welcome to Woman of Wealth. Today it is Jenna here, and I'm about to introduce you to an incredible guest. We have Charissa Floriancic joining us for a conversation today on her journey going from a teaching role into forming a global product business called Crushed Aftercare. Charissa is also a powerful mentor to CEOs and visionary women around the world. And our conversation today explores her challenges moving through forming a product business and the identity shifts along the way, and also those moments of power and clarity and holding her power in seasons of change. And we dive deep on what it takes to 10x your identity and really hold your vision without wavering. So this conversation is profound, especially if you have a product-based business. You are going to love hearing Charissa's incredible story and journey. So let's dive straight on in. Welcome everyone to Woman of Wealth, another incredible guest expert coming in to share her journey, her experience as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a visionary. So welcome Charissa Floriancic to Woman of Wealth.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. So thank you.
Yes, of course. I've been so excited to have our conversation, and I would love if you could just take the mic and share who you are, what you do. You run multiple businesses, so let us know a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of Crushed Aftercare Incorporated. So we're based in London, Ontario, Canada. And what it is a natural vegan aftercare company. We make aftercare like tattoo bombs and lip masks and butters for beauty artists, for permanent makeup artists, tattoo artists, cosmetic nurses, and we do white labels. So we brand it with their logo. And the company serves all over the world. So we have clients, customers in Australia, in Europe, in the UK, all over North America mainly, so we're global. And I'm also a mentor for women in business.
Amazing, yes. And I have known you for a while. I was thinking, how many years have we known each other? A while through orbiting in the coaching industry. It's been such a joy to witness your evolution and to, see just the power that you've stepped into in the multiple seasons. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But I want to know more about your experience, because you used to be a teacher and had that dream to create lip balms, I believe was the sort of initial product that you started with.
Yeah.
Can we go back a little bit in time to that season of your life as a teacher with a dream for something beyond her normal, and what that took in you? Like, what were some of the moments you went through, or the limiting beliefs or edges that you met to be able to hold that vision when maybe no one else really understood it at the time?
Yeah, it did start with an intuitive hit. It was almost like a dream that came true. I was lying in bed. This was 10 years ago. I was lying in bed, my second baby, so I have 3 kids now. And as I was lying in bed, I was thinking about the kids. I was a kindergarten teacher, and I was thinking about the kids in the classroom who didn't have any healthy snack options. And I would give them my apple, I'd give them my banana. And I didn't really like them feeling centered out that way, to come up and say, I don't have a healthy snack, I just have chips or cookies. And I thought there's got to be a better way. Sure, I can go buy a whole bunch of bananas and apples. I'm always buying stuff for the classroom. But what if I made something, sold it, and then used the money from that to buy this fruit supply? So that's how it began. And I remember that night I could hardly sleep because the first thing that came through was make lip balms. And I got really excited about it. But at the same time, I thought, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
I don't know how to make lip balms. And I'm thinking, where do you get the packaging? How do I even print off labels? How do I even make lip balms? So that was the beginning, but I knew it was something good because I could barely fall asleep and I felt really excited about the potential of this. And then from there, it wasn't like the next day though, I went and started researching and buying it. I would say it was a few months later that I started to, investigate, how do I make lip balms and how do I make bath bombs? And it was like little nuggets that were kind of pushing me back over to that path where I'd see other people making bath bombs and lip balms. And I actually thought this, I was like, I could make that better. And then I remember that thought I had, that intuitive hit, months before. And then I acted on it.
Yes, I love that. And following those intuitive nudges is the absolute key. And I know we're probably going to get deeper into that in our conversation because it's a part of how I see you leading yourself and to the point that you have today. And I just love the downloads that can come through and it feels like a what can I because I can relate to that. When I left my fashion career, it was the same sort of thing. It just a download dropped in out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and it seems like a can I do this, but it's the very thing that it's just been placed in you, and it's for you to create. So I love that you went on that journey and took it to the level that it is today. So one of the things that I think you and I were speaking about recently and you were sharing with me was that you are moving in this energy of the woman who has it all. And that I think one of your clients had said to you, like, that's what I really admire in you and how you embody that. So I'd love to explore that a little bit more because you are a mother of three. You work with your husband as well in the business, in the product business in Crushed Aftercare. And you're a mentor, so we are doing a lot. And I always say we live full lives. But I want to know more about what does that mean to you to be the woman who has it all? And has there been a process for you to sort of shift into that identity and embody that?
Yeah, and I feel like I'm still going through that,
Of course,
because like
yeah.
what else do I desire? What else
Yes.
can I shift? Like what am I doing that's not in alignment with where I really want to go? And for me, like one of the biggest things is being busy and go go go, and that's been a big story of mine. When I was in university, I was waitressing at night. When I was in teachers college, I was bartending. Even when I actually was in Australia for 2 years. I lived on the Gold Coast and I went
Mm-hmm.
into my master's in education and I was working while I was in school. So there's always been this busyness about me for success to happen. And so that's still something that I'm working on where it's less is more. And yes, I have my three kids and I have, both my businesses, but like having it all is also having that deep relationship, the connection with my children and with my husband, and being able to have that space in my days, I go in the hot tub a lot. If people watch
Mm-hmm.
my stories, they know me. They're like, she goes in the hot tub in the winter, and in the summer, she's in her pool,
Yes.
so it's having that as the time freedom to
Yeah.
do what you desire. Yesterday I could go meet a friend for coffee. I can tomorrow, I'm like, okay, I have one call tomorrow. My days look like 4-hour days. So to me, that's what wealth is, right? It's in all the areas. And then I also really take care of my body. And that as well is wealth to me because I do know so many entrepreneurs that, and I would say majority, because majority that come into my world, they're not happy with the way, with their body image or, just their health, and they're putting it on the back burner. So when
Yeah.
you come into my world, it's like you get to have the deep relationships. You get to be there for your kids. I'm going to be going to take my daughter to volleyball tonight, but
Mm-hmm.
I've worked today, but then I also did the hot tub. I also had time with Andrew too, before he
Yeah.
went out of town. We had our time together. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I got my workout in too this morning. So it's like it is possible to have it all. But there's obviously, strategy, magic to becoming the woman that has it all. But it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
the story of, and there was someone who asked me recently about, she has a baby, her second baby. She's like, can I have the business success, but also the baby and also my relationship with my husband? I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, you can.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And it's something that I stand for as well. And I always remind my clients we can have it all. It doesn't mean doing it all, though. At times we will be stretched, right? There are seasons where we're going to be stretched and we are juggling more at
Mhm.
once, but
Yeah.
that's the capacity stretching season. And then there's, team coming in and support and systems
Hmm.
and things like that to support
Yeah.
us. But I love that you embody that because it's what I stand for too. I think for
Hmm.
so long we've sort of compartmentalized life as women, and it's like, oh, you can be a mother, but you can't have the successful business, or you can, have the successful business, but your health is going to have to be sacrificed. What is that? Why is that the narrative that we've
Yeah.
adapted? And I think it's really powerful to see intuitive led women like you and I creating a new paradigm and embodying that. Because, being a mother as well, I love being able to drop my daughter at school, which I'll do after our call today,
Yeah.
and then pick her up in the afternoon and hang out at the playground at the school for a little bit and then come home with her and like, and then get my son later from daycare or my parents, and just that softening of presence with our children, I feel is one of the most powerful things that we can embody for them as well. Have you found that too? Just that who you're being for them and they're seeing you, and just the joy of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I have a daughter who she just turned 13.
Oh, yeah.
And we were having a conversation in the car the other day, and she was talking about, just some stuff that she was wearing. And she's like, I think some of the girls they were judging me on it. And I'm like, listen, look at your mother, okay? I mean, I go and I have my, my makeup on. I'm always dressed really nice. And I'm like, people, they get triggered or they judge, and that's going to happen. So like, yeah, there's so many times too where we're leading by example for them to, still, I'm like, but do it anyway, because there are going to
Yes.
be people who are going, especially if you're doing something different, but like own it. So like definitely there's leading by example and seeing running a business, right? They get to see as running a business, but then they also come home to fresh baked bread and, so they're like, they get to see that the richness gets to be
Yeah.
there, the wealth in all ways.
But I would love to know more about, back to the woman who has it all and then sort of implementing that within a business. Has there been, specific, I call them high frequency actions, it's sort of like the actions as a CEO that move the needle forward, or that get your richest energy, your highest time and energy in the day? Are there specific things for you because you do run both businesses and product-based and then service-based business? So I'm curious, like, is there anything, that you do on a daily basis within the business that is your specific priorities that move the business forward? And also it can be energetic based as well,
Yeah.
if you want to touch on that. I'd love to hear.
Yeah. So I would say my days are basically the same. So I always get up before everyone else, before the rest of the house, not too, maybe about an hour before, and I'll get ready, go shower. But then this is when I have like my morning coffee, tea, whatever. And this is when I do my journaling. So I journal every morning, and I'm always journaling on the vision, the bigger vision, who I need to be, what my desires are, and then writing it in the tense of it's happening right now, right?
Yes.
In the current tense. So I do that and visualizing. And I can say I'm always visualizing throughout the day. It's not just that morning practice. I'm
Yes.
continually visualizing me as her, growing the company at that next level. And then get the kids ready, off to school. Right away after that, I have about a 15, I'm very like, everything's very structured. So I have about
Yes.
15 minutes before I go work out. So that 15 minutes is when I go into my office space. It's a beautiful space in my home. It's right at the front, this beautiful window view. And that's when I do like meditating, and I have my journal again, and I have my oracle cards, do that. Then I go work out. So this is like a non-negotiable. This is what I do. So taking care of my body. I haven't even like plugged into social media. I haven't
Yeah.
served my clients yet. I do all of those things first. And then content. So then I do the marketing. I market for both my mentorship and for my product
Yeah.
company. And then the rest is my calls, clients, trainings, or it's working in the product business as well. And then
Yeah.
afternoon is what I want to do. So it's usually
Yeah.
like hot tub, have a bath. Sometimes I do a second, like I'll do like a second cardio, get that in. And I'm getting ready for the kids. So I prep them a snack, or I'll bake them cookies, and I get dinner prepped because it's like way
Yeah.
less stressful to have dinner kind of
Yeah.
prepped before they get home.
Yes, absolutely. Especially, I mean, my two right now are 2 and 5 years old. So the evening, if I can have dinner ready, that's a lot
Hmm.
easier on my nervous
Oh yeah.
system when they're having their 5 p.m. meltdowns.
Yeah, and they're
But I
cleaning
love
out your
hearing that.
legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned before, like sort of that 4 hours of more intentional work a day as well. And I'm very similar. It's about 4 hours in between the school hours typically when I'm on. And then similar to you, like not having our phones out or social media out prior to that, and I think that that's been huge for me. And have you always implemented that, or was that something that you found you had to like navigate through the season of reacting to everyone else and then sort of come back into your own energy?
Definitely. Yeah. So
Mm,
I used to wake up and the first thing I would do would be checking my phone, check my
mm,
emails, check my Instagram, but I don't do that anymore because, what you said, you're plugging into the field to other people's energies, but also your subconscious mind, you're still in that sleepy state. So I
yeah.
want to utilize that space. I want it to be, the connection to my higher self, to higher dimensions, to my dream state. And
Mm.
I even journal all my dreams if I can remember them and I decode them as well that day. So if I go and I jump into my Instagram, I'm instantly taken away from what I would say my higher self or that higher dimension. And I don't want that. I want to start off my day completely plugged into me and that higher elevated frequency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you mentioned that the visualization aspect is consistent throughout the day.
Yeah.
So, can you describe a little bit, like, do you do that in between pockets of the day or meetings, etc.? Or is it sort of just like for you so natural that it just becomes a way of being? Because I find people sort
Yeah.
of alter
Yeah.
between, yeah.
For sure. So I think it is a way of being. It's just who you
Mm,
are. I was leading on this in one of my group mentorship spaces, and a lot of the women, they were like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to start doing that." It was just not something they do. Even the
mm,
journaling practice, we all hear about it.
yeah.
Write down, affirm what you want to call in, but then like, are people actually doing it?
Yes,
Like
exactly.
it's so simple, it's so easy, but yet are you reprogramming your mind? Are you reprogramming
Mm,
your subconscious? Are you
mm,
aware? And I feel like this is so simple, and I talk a lot about the universal laws, you know that,
hmm.
but like the law of mentalism, right? We create our own reality. We're conscious creators, but even that simple thing of catching yourself, being aware, consciously aware of what you're saying on a daily. Like, this is hard. I don't have sales. Money's not coming in. I'm not good enough. Whatever it is you're saying, that's creating your own reality. And it's such a simple thing to be like, this is the law of mentalism. But like, how many people are actually paying attention,
Yeah,
or actually doing the things to rewire or reprogram, their subconscious mind?
absolutely. And I get asked this question too when I do interviews, but what I always say is it is a way of being. It becomes a way of being when you start to really come into ownership that you are creating your
Yeah.
reality. And I
Yeah.
think even just people hear that, but don't quite step
Hmm.
into it.
Yeah.
And I've seen you do that and you've done that for so long. And I want to speak about, staying power in a moment and sort of navigating seasons
Hmm.
of
Oh
change
gosh.
too. Because I know you and I have been through it,
Hmm.
being in business for 10 plus years, both each.
Yeah.
But I think there's something really powerful, as you said, about just coming back to the basics of the law of mentalism, as you explained, and really coming into that ownership that you are creating your reality, but what are you doing in the micro moments? Because I have found, I'm sure you've experienced this too, it's the micro choice points of identity or
Hmm.
energy of like, who do I
Yeah.
choose to be in this moment
Yeah.
that actually has such a bigger compounding energy
Hmm.
in creating the next level. Have you found that too? That it's not always about like the big moves. It is like often the big
Yeah.
moves that kind of signify something of a new level, but it's
Hmm.
like it's just a way of being through the day.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's been massive moves we've made, and I can count them on, both hands probably. But then it's like, what are you doing every single day? The micro for sure. It's bringing me back to your training yesterday in our
Hmm.
mastermind when
Hmm.
you're talking about it was like, oh, like being the observing. Like, this is
Yes.
similar to what you were talking about yesterday and leading on, right? And the mastermind was
Yeah,
observing
absolutely.
through the day and then clearing the field, and yeah,
Hmm.
just like
Hmm.
being aware of your yeah, what you're connected into, plugged into, your
Yeah.
frequency and all of that. But it's definitely the micro. And this is the work that I do with my clients, and it's like when people can be really honest, because this is the big thing too, is radical honesty. Because a lot of people will
Hmm.
say, "Oh no, everything's good energetically. No, like my my thoughts are, no, they're good, and my closet's perfect, and my car's clean, and oh no,
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever, I'm eating good."
Yeah.
But then if it's like we're getting radically honest, then that's when the real work happens, right? When you can actually be honest with yourself, because like a reality doesn't lie. A reality
Hmm.
is telling us what is actually going on, in your environment, your thoughts, internally. So yeah,
Love hearing
it's
that.
a lot of
Yes,
honesty.
absolutely. And I want to know a little bit more about your clients actually in the mentorship side
Yeah.
of the business and you work with leaders as well and you work with visionary people. Do you find that there are like common pivotal moments when clients step into your spaces? Do you find that they're sort of at a pivotal season of evolution? I'm curious about that because you're such a powerhouse. So I know that people are drawn in at a specific season with a lot of people that hold a certain energy.
Yeah, so a lot of people that come into my world, they do want it all. So they're like, I see how, I've hired these other coaches, but they have 40 calls in a week, whatever it may be. Their
Yeah.
schedule's jam packed, 8 hours straight of calls, or they're just not taking care of their health. They're not working out. They're not, whatever. Or they'll talk about the hustle, the grind, the sacrifice. They're missing their kids' sports, like things like that. So they're like, no, okay, I want to hire you because you're showing me what's possible. You're like, wait a minute. And a lot of them too, they want to have children, but they're also afraid of, can I have children but also grow a business? And then they see the
Yeah.
evidence through me that, wait a minute, she did it while she was teaching, growing two businesses, three kids. Okay, I want to hire her. A lot of women who come into my world, it's like they're at the point where they want to go into this next level more of leadership and being. So they may hire
Yeah.
someone else for content and marketing. And sure, I'm good at marketing and content. I can tell you how to grow a brand. I've done it with both.
Yeah.
But women are attracted to me more because of that leadership aspect and personal power.
Absolutely. And that's what you've embodied and continue to embody and expand and meet new edges around as well.
Yeah.
And I always remind my clients of that. I'm like, if you are really embodied in what you do, it's not selling is natural because people feel the frequency.
Yeah.
Like the energy field doesn't lie, as you said before, reality
Yes.
doesn't lie around you.
Yeah.
Your frequency doesn't lie. You can't fake that. It
Yeah.
just is, you know. And we were talking about that yesterday in the mastermind, like wearing your wealth frequency, and it's so much about embodiment and what you've moved through. But I think that that's really powerful that they've witnessed that in you, and it gives them, you know, at times it is a permission slip. It's like seeing someone else doing that in a way that you desire to is often this like subconscious permission that people are waiting for. It's like, okay, that is also possible for me. And then they get to realize in your space, oh, I am the one that holds the power to create this, and I'm going to co-create with Charissa and, you know, go to a whole new level. And I'd love to know a little bit about, like, you mentioned universal laws before. Tell me about universal laws in your mentorship, and how do you see, like, are there more common laws that you bring your clients back to that you're sort of like, here we, you know, let's dive back in on this. Let's remember about the law of mentalism as we spoke about briefly before. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious how that plays out in your work with your
Yeah.
coaching.
And I'm definitely bringing it more into my work. I feel like I do have this gift of recognizing right away what universal law is, they're not working in harmony with. So I'm able to identify that really quickly. And definitely the ones that come into play are laws of polarity, the laws of seasons, rhythms, the laws of gender, right? So like a lot of times clients will come in and they're like, this is a really hard week and things aren't moving, things aren't, working for me, feel chaotic, all the things. And so I'll bring that in where I'm talking about how this is a natural part of business, right? And when you understand let's say that we'll talk about the law of seasons, the law of rhythm, right? You think about like winter, then it goes into spring and into summer, or slowness into, okay, this is a bigger season. We're gonna go a little bit harder here. This like ebbs and flows, right? This is natural
Yeah.
and normal. Whereas people just want it to always be like going straight uphill the whole entire
And the
time.
high vibe addiction
Yes.
as well. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like when you can understand, the universal laws of ups and downs, polarities, or even the law of gender, where it's like we have the masculine, but then there's also the time for the feminine. Just I
Yeah.
told about my schedule. There's a lot of masculine, but there's a lot of feminine in there. Like it's like
Yeah.
we have both in the day. So that for sure helps them to really like when you understand it, you're able to come from this more calm, grounded energy versus this reactive, things aren't working, everything's chaotic. Because
Hmm.
what ends up happening is, so I'll bring it to their attention. I'll say, listen, laws of season, guess what's going to happen next week? And sure enough, next week, oh my goodness, I have this new collaboration, this big sale, whatever it may be. So it's like they get to see the rhythms of life. But it's like you can react and it could maybe take longer because again, who you're being is what you're attracting, right? Law of attraction.
Yeah.
Or you can be from this emotional, grounded, mature energy of, okay, how is this working for me? And it always
Yeah.
is, right? It's always
Hmm.
working for you. And that's great leadership when you can look at this. I mean, there's been so many times with my product company, especially, where it's like, oh my goodness. But I always think, how is this making us a better company? And I
Yeah.
understand there's going to be seasons where it's going to be really hard. But I also know that this is a part of evolution and growth. And that's what the universal laws are doing, right? It's evolving as we're always expanding and evolving.
100%. And I love just the integrity that you speak to it from, because I think there has been this sort of, that's why I said the high vibe addiction. Like I
Yeah.
find that some clients are like, but I don't feel great today. It's like, but that's irrelevant to your identity. Your identity and your vision is locked in. And if you believe that and you know that, it's not even belief, it's a knowing, it's just a state of being.
Yes. Yeah.
Then you can ride the emotional waves and you can ride the law of rhythm and the seasons, because I've seen it time and time again too. It's like whenever a client has a moment where it's like everything feels chaotic or
Yeah.
things are clearing, I always call it the field rearranging, because they've
Love
said this is
that.
the level I'm operating at,
Yeah.
and then things that aren't in alignment with that are starting to clear.
Yeah.
And that's when people can get a little bit shaky, which I totally get, and I've been there many times. But I'm sure you found this too. And as you just said, it's almost like, but wait until next week or wait until the energy shifts, and it will.
Yeah.
And it is always the expansion,
Yeah.
because there's that natural sort of contraction and expansion that happens as well, especially for people that are, big dreamers and that are creating something in, this new paradigm of earth that we're creating, and creating businesses through energy more. And, it's just so interesting to see people meet those edges, but then see, oh, I held myself through that.
Yeah.
And now like something's come in, or there's like sales increasing, or so I'm sure you've seen that many times. And I would love to like tap in on your journey, because you said with your product business that there was, there's been countless times where it's like, oh my gosh, that next level. And I
Yeah.
want to talk about staying power and navigating these seasons in business, because you and I have been in business, I think about same time, like 10 years.
Yeah.
And we've circled each other for many years and connected for many years. And one thing that I have seen in you, just like knowing you and watching you on social media, but also connecting with you personally, has been your ability to continue to evolve and hold yourself through seasons. And I could feel at times where I'm like, oh, Carissa's shifting her message, or there's something new coming in your mentorship business, like, because I can sort of read the energy and see your evolution. And I think it's so powerful if you could speak to just, even if there's some examples of what you've moved through where it's felt challenging in business, but also just how you hold yourself and navigate yourself through those seasons where it can feel discomfort, but you know that there's a new evolution coming in.
Okay. Well, I do think there's power in evidence, So as you go on the journey, you start to collect this evidence for yourself where your
Yeah.
faith gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And so over time, I continue to see the evidence of it's always working for me. So
Mm-hmm.
even in those moments where I'll give you an example. So when I left teaching, they say, take the big leap and the universe is going to catch you, right? And you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I finally
Here
take
we
this
go.
big leap. Yeah, let's go.
Yes.
You jump off the cliff and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
oops, wasn't caught there. So after I had just left teaching, and this wasn't an easy thing to do. The year before I was kind of talking about it. And my husband, Andrew, was like, I don't know. He was afraid about, will we have enough money coming in? And he was working full time as a corrections officer at the jail, and I was full time
Mm-hmm.
teaching. And I did take that big leap. And there's a whole story before that, how universe pushed me to take this big leap.
Mm.
But we didn't have any money saved, when I did this. And definitely were not, it was just me doing the product business, and I was doing some coaching at the time. And when I took the leap, all of a sudden, the next couple months, the sales just like stopped. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what? I just left teaching, and I
Yeah.
remember, and I don't know if you've heard the story, I've shared it on social media before, and it's one of my most powerful stories. I remember I was going grocery shopping for my son's birthday, and I was already in the negative in the bank. And at that time, Andrew and I had separate bank accounts. So he didn't know that I was already in the
Mm,
negative. And I didn't want to tell him because I'm like, I just took this leap. I'm going
yeah.
after my dreams. And so my bank goes to negative 1,000. I was almost there. And I went to get birthday cake and food for the party. And I'm calculating in my head. And I thought, oh my goodness, I am definitely going to get declined. So I started calculating the food on the conveyor belt. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go over by like $5. I know it. So I grabbed this pack of, it was like this lunch meat, for crackers and cheese. And I put it to the side. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get this anymore. I felt mortified in that moment.
Mm,
As a mother, I was like, oh my goodness, I am so
yeah.
mortified. I can't believe I have to put this pack of meat back. And I
Hmm.
paid. And I remember as I was paying for the bill, I thought, okay, this is going to be a story that I can tell one day. This is going to be a triumph story that I can look back and say, I once had to put back a pack of meat. It was called
Yes.
like the meat story. And
Hmm.
it gets me emotional, like as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, like holding back the tears
Yeah.
because it's such an emotional time. Um, but like now, my husband has left his job. We just hired our third employee. We're,
Yeah.
gonna have already a 700, almost $1 million year,
Hmm.
right? So it's like I went from having to put that meat back to now here, right?
Yes.
So that's one of those moments where it was like, you know, wasn't where I wanted it to be. Didn't think that, universe was catching me, but yeah. And then from there, though, obviously things got better, and so you start to gather that evidence, and your
Yes.
faith starts to get stronger because it's like if I
Hmm.
could be there and get out of that and continue to grow and scale and build momentum over time, then now I can handle anything that comes my way. And so,
Hmm.
one time we invested in, it was over $12,000 of lip balm tubes came over to us. It was saving us a lot of money to go this route. Huge amount came in. We fill orders for people, ship them out, start getting customers messaging us saying, when I go to turn up this lip balm tube, it's like breaking. So it won't
Oh.
twist up. So we've made everything. So our staff, we've had to pay for labor. We've labeled everything, the product inside. We had to throw out all those tubes. This company would not refund us. So we were out
Oh gosh.
$12,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
plus, on top of it, all the labor we had to pay to make those initial orders, plus buy new tubes, all the labor, all the things, right? So it probably was around,
Mm.
I'd say, $15,000 loss. But again, it's like we still have a lot of money coming in. We're still growing, right? So, like, even though there's these moments that seem insane in the time,
Hmm.
like, how am I going to
Hmm.
navigate this? It's always worked for us. And we've always continued to evolve and to grow and to get stronger. And again, I see these as how can I be a better CEO? Like, what could we have done differently in
Absolutely.
that situation? What can we do going forward to like cross all the T's and dot all the I's? But the faith is definitely a lot stronger now because I've seen over time that evidence.
Absolutely. I love hearing those stories. And I mean, I've moved through my own too with the negative bank account being declined at the train station. That was my one.
Yeah.
And a lovely train, the
Oh
train
gosh.
conductor just goes, just get on. Goes, just
Oh,
get on quick, jump the gate. It's all
so
right.
good.
So that
So
was
good.
my moment of very similar to your story with the deli meat. So we've been there. We've been there with the
Yeah.
banks saying no and no money and in the red.
Mhm.
And I would love to touch in on like money and the emotional intelligence that you carry around money because I think that's a big aspect of it as well. Like you said with the 15 grand loss in the lip balm
Yeah.
situation, there's an aspect of that I feel that we can feel like so intense in those moments, right? And all of the feelings can rush in. But how have you also navigated like emotional intelligence around investments or like a perceived loss of money? Because, you and I probably have the same belief that we don't ever lose money. It's just energy changing form. However, it can feel like a hit to the gut when we have something like that happen. But I'm curious how you've sort of navigated that aspect of the money flow in business from the emotional, energetic space.
Yeah, there's a couple things. So, one, I have that belief where just money always comes my way.
Yeah.
There's always abundance coming my way. Even to like, I have someone who has completely copied my model. and she lives locally. So calling her stuff the same as mine, like everything's the same.
Wow.
But again, it's just like I don't have this energy or frequency of anything being taken away from me because I'm
Yes.
so in this belief system of I'm abundant and I'm always attracting and magnetizing. So even with that loss of the 12, well, 15,000 probably, I'm guessing overall, like it was never, yeah, it was frustrating that that happened. I was more frustrated at the fact that the product was faulty and
Yeah.
that we didn't get fair. We got a little bit of compensation, but not, that was more my frustration, not the money, because money's energy, and I know I'm like, okay, this was a moment in time, but I'm
Yes.
like, I'm becoming a multimillionaire. So this is actually like a drop in the sand for me, like a little grain in the
Hmm.
sand or a drop in the ocean. So that's more, I think, because I just know that the money continues to grow and it will. Like there's that
Yeah.
certainty, that knowing.
Yeah, beautiful. And I always have that visual as well of like a drop in the ocean when we're looking at certain amounts of money and sort of elevating that as well. And I want to dive in on the 10x outcomes for you because I know that you and I have been speaking lately
Uh,
and you're sharing, some 10x visions that you're stepping into and have already stepped into from an identity and frequency perspective.
mhm.
And you're like in there and you're like, now I operate from this version of me.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about your process behind going to the 10x outcome in terms of, say, an income goal or a leadership goal? Because I'm sure you apply this with your clients as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I used to be the like, let me just incrementally increase what I want to
Mhm.
do. And then I even have 10x is easier than 2x on my desk right now,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
It just sort of sits near me all the time. But I would love to hear your story about like, why not just go to the 10x version and how do you apply that? Like, what's your process or
Oh my
perspective around that?
goodness. Well, first of all, if you saw my 10X book, it is like the book, it's water weathered because I would read it in my pool all summer. It's
Yeah.
like, it's just, it's highlighted everywhere. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a book that's changed my life. So highly recommend for everyone who's watching and listening. 10X is easier than 2X. So Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan write it. It will literally change your business. But yeah, so well, I'm currently going through it right now, as you know, where I want to 10x my company, and so for me, it's a money goal, but then like also a time frame too,
Mm.
and it's really helping us. It's really a huge awakening, actually, because when I looked at us operating, and this is our company, but also me personally as a CEO and energetically too, behind the scenes and as a mother and a partner and all of that. Yeah, it really awakens. It's like a rude awakening almost going, okay, wait a
Yeah.
minute. The model that we have right now could not scale us to $500,000 months. So what it's
Mm.
allowed us to do is to look and go, okay, if we were to go to $500,000 months, what would that look like? And basically everything that we're doing right now for our product company cannot come with us to
Mm.
where we want to go. Like we have to change our model and we have to simplify it. So that's one thing. And we've already taken action on that. And then also to just where I'm placing my focus and my attention. And then
Yeah.
also who we're serving too. So, and this also goes into my mentorship as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I
Mm-hmm.
know the vision that I have too is the 10x me is I'm on a stage and I'm leading and speaking on the magic and the universal laws and the self identity of how I was able to scale into these $500,000 months,
Yeah.
right? So then it's like, okay, right now if I'm doing this like low ticket, come to this $47 offer or like this one off thing at $299, that is not aligned with that version of me who's on stage
Mm-hmm.
teaching and sharing, with people on how I scale to the 500K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I talk about it from the perspective of like our signal, like what's the signal that we're sending out into the field that creates that standard of what we're expecting. And I would love to hear a little bit more about the identity work as well. Like if you have that 10x version of you, who is the CEO, the mother, the wife, the mentor, like the full spectrum woman at $500,000 months, which is what you are calibrating right now, like what shift in identity have you already been making? Because I've seen you
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
last
yeah.
few weeks already.
I know, it's so
So
fun.
because you're a quick action taker, which is key, like you really move in that state of flow and trust. which money loves. I always remind people
Yeah.
like that state of overflow and trust is what a frequency that money is just naturally with. But tell me about like, yeah, the identity shifts or maybe some of we've even been speaking about like dressing differently and sort of
Yeah.
expression. Yeah, what has been shifting for you already at this level?
Yeah. So for sure, with even the way I'm dressing, I went through my closet, and I mean, I've gone through my closet so many times this year, but I went through it
Same.
again, and I was like, wait a minute, this is still not, 500K me. And here's the thing too, is sometimes people will be like, because I can see the 500K me, and she's wearing Chanel, and she's got her designer bags, and I'm driving my black Mercedes, like that's my dream car. I can see her doing that, and it's like, okay, but people would say, but I can't go and buy that Chanel right now, or I can't go and buy that dream car. And it's like, but what can you do right now?
Hmm.
So it's like, I actually thought for a wallet, I'm like, I wonder if there's a wallet that kind of like looks like a Chanel. And I got one. I was like, get rid of the old one. Let's get
Hmm.
one that symbolizes and looks similar. So it like
Yeah.
has like two circles and it's gold. It looks kind of similar. I went to the Mercedes dealership and I went and I now know the car that I want to get. I know the exact model I want to get. I know how much it is. Whereas before I had no idea how much it was. The salesman took a picture of me in the car.
Love it.
I
Yes.
even upgraded like I didn't even notice, but my laptop bag was so old and it was kind of like dirty and tattered, but I think because I had it for so long, I didn't even notice. And I was like,
Mm.
whoa, this
Yeah.
woman who's like multi-millionaire, I have it with me right now. I'm like, this is the laptop bag,
Oh,
right?
yes.
It's like a
She's
leather.
beautiful.
Yeah. I'm like, and it's like a big, kind of a big leather purse with a bow on it and it has gold. I'm like, that's what I would be wearing. So I decluttered the closet. Even like when I'm at home, I'm dressing nicer. I got new pajamas that make me feel really sexy and
Yes.
like next level. So there's been a lot of, I just did a post on it and like a lot of people loved it and saved it. And I was like, I did this week and I realized there was like 10 things I had done. I was like, whoa, I hope people don't, maybe some people would get overwhelmed. But for me, it was like, as soon as I had that in my mind, I like go. I'm like, I'm
You
cleaning the
go for it.
closet. I go get the purse. I'm like, I have a hair
Yes.
appointment tomorrow. My nails even. I'm like, nails make me
Hmm.
feel. So I went and like did the nails. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's more of the I say environment. More of the
Yeah.
style. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, with the
Yeah,
frequency.
but the environment matters,
Yeah,
it's not about, as you were saying, it's not about the brand, like because everyone can, their values in what they choose is different, but it's about the frequency. And I call it wearing your wealth frequency. It's
yeah,
like, how would you just dress or express this through what you want to have on your body and on your physical environment or in your home? And yeah, I call it the little luxuries as well. It's like upgrading just, like the laptop bag or the nails.
yeah.
It's like choosing one thing that represents and signals a new standard of who you are. And it does impact, like it is an energetic signature that is coming through you and beyond you in how we dress and how we curate our environment or, what's important to us. So I love hearing that. And I've seen you just, go move in it so beautifully in the last couple of weeks. So I wanted you to share some
Well,
of the behind the scenes of that.
and
Yeah.
I thought though that I was doing it. And then when I
Mm.
sat and visualized me for real, 500K months, I'm like, I got a bigger production space. I have a team. I have my own, right now we have two offices. We have, a team, but I mean like a big space. And I'm walking in and I've got my bag and I pull up my Mercedes and I'm dressed, like in business attire, feeling beautiful. And I
Yeah.
realized when I was coming to our office production space that I would dress good, but not how I would at that level.
Mm.
Not really hit me. I was like, wait a minute, I thought I was already doing. I'm like, oh no, I'm not. So
Yeah.
even coming to this call, I was like, what would I would wear this gold necklace. I'd wear the hat. And I wore this to the grocery store. Remember we were talking about the grocery
Yeah.
store, and I'm walking
Yeah.
through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm walking through a grocery store like this. But yeah, it's even those little things. It's like I'm being her. I am her.
Yeah, exactly. I am her and it is. And I always say that I am and it is.
Mm,
And then there's a full stop after. Like there's no
yeah,
doubt there. It's just this is who it
yeah,
is. And it does calibrate and your environment starts to shift. Your wealth starts to react to everything. So I love hearing that experience for you. I would love to hear, because I love to ask this question on each interview that I'm doing. What does being a woman of wealth mean to you?
Yeah, well, I feel like we did touch on it with like having it all. I think about too not sacrificing, not
Mm,
sacrificing that time for yourself,
yeah.
your health, like what you truly desire. And everyone's desires are going to be different. Like not everybody's going to want that Mercedes.
Hmm.
Not everyone's going to want to travel and speak on stage or have the makeup on. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like really when it comes down to it, I would say it was what are your true desires? Like, what is your true desires? What does your
Mm,
soul really want? Like, when you see that vision, what are you doing? Who are you being? And then that to me is a woman of wealth, where it's like,
yeah.
I always say you get to, or becoming the woman who has it all, which I feel
Yeah.
like is very similar to what you're saying here is like, you have that vision, and now it's like, you're not settling, right? You're holding
Hmm.
that standard high. You're not
Hmm.
settling. You're holding on to that vision and then deciding it gets to be mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I love hearing that. Everyone's perspective is different. And I love that you also hold such an embodiment around that. It's the woman who has it all, the woman of wealth. There's such a synergy there. And it is really about a higher standard and an embodiment of that and living, living our purpose. And I would love if you could just share as we come to a close, what's next for you? Like, where are you guys going next in terms of both the product
Oh
business and
my
the mentorship
gosh.
business or just life? Is there any vision that you want to speak out
Oh.
to our listeners here? And then how can people connect with you and work with you as well if they,
Yeah.
in both businesses, if you just plug it all, go for it.
Well, I definitely feel like it was funny that we have this podcast interview today because Andrew and I were having a conversation just before, and we know that in order to go 10x, we're going to be completely like we have everything has to be different, right? Because what got us to
Mm,
where we are now got us to where we are now. What we did, who we were, got us here, which is great. But
yeah.
now to go there is going to be completely different, right? And
Mm,
so going forward, it's definitely going to be simplifying. And right now we serve a lot of smaller businesses, like they're averaging, spending $300, $500. Now we're shifting into the bigger businesses, the big companies, the big distribution
mm,
companies, 10K, 50K type orders. But now we're looking into going bigger with our production space,
mm,
machinery, actually hiring a sales team, a marketing team, because I'm the salesperson, the marketing person, and so is Andrew.
yeah.
It's like, and the thing too is, and I'll definitely come into the mastermind about this, but this is so stretchy. Like this is me. So we're
Yeah.
looking at like angel investors and big loans and things that actually big companies do. And when we were looking it up, what we've created already, because we're in the profit and we don't have any debt and we don't have any loans and we've never had investors. And when
Mm,
we're researching this, that's really rare to get
yeah.
to a growing team. I'm going to do a post on this because when I was looking at it, I was like, I didn't even realize how rare this
Yes.
is. Like what I created and built is the exception to what normally happens with product businesses. And
Mm,
so knowing that, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I had no idea that, that's where we got. But now it's like, okay, that's great. It's gotten us to where we are. But now going bigger, we're seeing companies who've done it before. This is where you do get the angel investors, the big loans, all that kind of stuff that I have no idea about. So this is like the edgy thing. And today when I
yeah.
see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it actually kind of makes me want to cry because I'm like, this is exciting. This is totally not my identity and what it's been because it's all been organic. But now it's like, okay, I'm moving into that level. And so that can be scary and stretchy and uncomfortable and all of that. So that's exciting because that's
Yes.
new identity and a different way
Huge.
our company's going to grow,
Yeah.
which is new. And then as for, with the mentorship, it's definitely getting more exclusive and higher ticket. So it's like, especially as I'm growing to this bigger level, it's going to be shifting that way. So it's like
Mm,
mastermind, VIP days, and
yeah.
private coaching. And then I want to speak more on stages and share the story and all my knowledge and wisdom as well. So that's where we're at.
Beautiful.
And then people can find me on my Instagram, the Carissa Lynn.
Amazing. Yes. And check out Crushed Aftercare as well because it's an
Yes.
incredible brand and business that you've built there. And I love that, you and your husband work together as well and just creating this vision together. It's
Yeah.
really inspiring.
And
Absolutely
that
love
could
it.
be another podcast, eh? Talking about like
Yes.
how do you work
Yes.
together? What was his mindset? A lot of people want to know that too. Like, what was his mindset? Because
100%.
I mean, I'm a big crazy dreamer, visionary. Is like, how did he get on board with this? And so that'd be an amazing
Yes.
podcast
Yeah.
to talk
Amazing.
about. But for your audience as well, and I had just mentioned this to someone else because a lot of people they see us as the branded aftercare for the tattoo artists and that, which we are, but what other people do if they're mentors, they hold retreats and stuff like that. They can also order our lip balms or our lip glosses, and they can brand
I
it.
love
Someone
that.
just did
Yeah.
this recently for a retreat. They branded it with their logo, and then they gave it away in the swag bag. So we can do regular lip balms with your brand on
Yeah.
it as well.
Amazing. Yes, I love that. We
Yeah,
might have to talk about that in the future.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for
You.
being open and true and just like, the woman that you are as well, because, it's a joy to know you and to witness you and how you move through the world. And I just really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and your wisdom with us. So thank you,
Okay, well, this
Carissa.
is a mirror because like I remember and I'm just gonna plug this in here because I remember we have to figure out the years, but maybe it was like 4 years ago when I think the first time might have been your podcast where I might have seen you. I don't know, but I remember listening to you and following you, and I was just like, oh my goodness, just so thought you're, and I still obviously I think you're so amazing, and I just remember being like, oh, and it's so beautiful to be here together now. Like I feel like
Yeah.
this is a manifestation for me because I remember like looking at you and being like, oh my goodness. And then to be here with you having these conversations, I mean, that's a manifestation in itself. And you're talking about, who I am. No, like you are definitely an expander for me and just holding the
Thank you.
standards high and your energy and your frequency and your mature, grounded leadership has been such an inspiration, and that's why I come into your world and I hire you because of that. So I don't know if I've ever
Thank you.
expressed it, but yeah, you're an expander
Oh, I
and
appreciate
activator.
that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you know what? Like, just on that, it's such a co-creation and a walking together. Like, I just think
Yeah,
there's such a power in walking together as women, especially at this level of vision. As you said, you're a big dreamer, same. It's like we've got to find each other in this world and
yes,
walk together and support each other. So, yeah, thank you so
exactly.
much.
You're welcome. Thank you.